Hello. In this video, I show you how to configure backup retention settings in NAKIVO Backup and Replication, using the improved retention approach introduced in version 10.8. NAKIVO Backup and Replication offers two approaches to retention settings: Legacy, with 2 steps in the wizard for retention and scheduling, and the improved approach, which combines them into a single step. Using the improved retention approach, you can implement multiple retention policies within a single job by creating multiple schedules and assigning unique retention periods to each schedule. Before proceeding, make sure you've switched to the improved retention approach in your NAKIVO Backup and Replication deployment. You can learn more about this by following the links in the description. Keep in mind that once you've switched to the improved retention approach, you cannot switch back. To begin, navigate to the Schedule step in the Backup Job Wizard. If you do not want the job to run on schedule, you can always enable the Do Not Schedule, Run on Demand option at the top. Before customizing the schedule, select your preferred time zone. By default, NAKIVO Backup and Replication automatically selects the time zone in which the solution deployment is located. From the Type drop-down list, you can run your jobs on a weekly, monthly, yearly or periodic basis, or after another job. If you select weekly, specify how often you want this job to run. For example, you can have the job run every 1 week, every 2 weeks and so on. Furthermore, you can indicate the specific days on which you want the job to run using the corresponding checkboxes. For example, Monday through Friday are currently selected. You can also use the shortcuts below to make the schedule active on all days, work days, or just weekends. Next, specify the exact time at which you want the job to start by entering a time value into the Start At field. Make sure to use the 24-hour format to specify the desired time. For example, I'd like this job to start at 7 p.m., which would be 1900 in the 24-hour format. Optionally, you can specify the time at which you would like the job to end, as well. To do so, enable the option and enter the desired time value in the same manner. In this case, I want the job to end at 8 in the morning. If the backup job is still running by the specified end time, the solution will automatically terminate the job run. If you would like this schedule to take effect at a specific date in the future, you can do so by enabling the corresponding option. To create a monthly schedule for this job, select Monthly from the Type drop-down list. The customization options are almost identical. You can have the job run every month, or lower the frequency as needed to run it every 2 months, 3 months and so on. The key difference is the Run Every drop-down list. This option provides additional parameters to help you create your desired schedule. For example, you can have the job run on the last Friday of every month. Apart from that, you can specify the days of the week, the start and end times, and the activation date just as you would with a weekly schedule. The process is similar for setting up a yearly schedule, as well. You can choose to run the job on a specific day of a certain month. Let's say, the last Friday of December. And then you can specify the start and end times. The rest of the options are identical. Once you're finished with the scheduling options, you can proceed to retention settings. NAKIVO Backup and Replication allows you to implement flexible retention policies for your backups, by defining different retention parameters for multiple schedules within a single backup job. To do so, specify your desired retention period using the Keep Backups for option. Once that period has passed, the solution will automatically remove the recovery points in question. To demonstrate the improved retention approach, I'm going to create 4 schedules: a daily one, a weekly one, a monthly one, and a yearly one, each with a different retention period. First, let's create a daily schedule. Select weekly as the type and give the schedule a name. Configure the schedule's frequency and active days, then specify the start time and the end time if needed. I'm setting the start time to 7 p.m. and the end time to 8 a.m. the following day. Specify the effective date if needed. I'm keeping this option disabled. From the Keep Backups for drop-down list, specify for how long you would like the recovery points to be retained before they expire. I want the daily backups to be retained for 1 week. Next, click Add Another Schedule to create the weekly schedule. Give it a name, adjust the frequency and enter the time parameters. I'd like the weekly job to run once a week, only on Saturdays. It will start at midnight and end at 8 a.m. the following day. In terms of retention, I'm going to keep the weekly recovery points for 4 weeks. Click Add Another Schedule to start creating the monthly schedule. Give the schedule a name and select Monthly as the type. I'd like this job to run on the last Sunday of every month, starting at midnight and ending at 8 a.m. the following day. As you may have noticed, the weekly and monthly schedules are now overlapping. For this reason, I will enable the Prioritize Schedules option. When this option is enabled, NAKIVO Backup and Replication starts treating overlapping schedules based on their priority. By default, a yearly schedule has higher priority than a monthly schedule, which has priority over weekly schedules, while a daily schedule has the lowest priority level. For retention, I want the monthly backups to be kept for 1 year. Click Add Another Schedule one last time to create the yearly schedule. Give the schedule a name and select yearly as the type. I'd like this schedule to run on the last Sunday of December. It will start at midnight and end at 8 a.m. Now, this schedule is overlapping with both the monthly and weekly schedules. In such a case, with 2 or more schedules overlapping and with prioritized schedules enabled, the solution will skip the schedules with lower priority. In other words, on the last Sunday of December, the solution will run this backup job only once, using the settings specified in the yearly schedule, since it has priority over all others. And by extension, the solution will use the retention settings of this schedule as well. I would like to keep this recovery point for 10 years. If you've previously selected as a destination for this job a backup repository that supports immutability, such as local storage, a public cloud platform, or S3 compatible storage, you can also customize the immutability period from this page. This is done by adjusting the immutable for value. Immutable backups have special protection against ransomware attacks and other forms of unwanted modification. This is because they are stored using the write once, read many model, known as worm. Simply enable the immutable for option and specify the number of days you want the backup data to remain immutable for. It's highly recommended that you use the same duration for immutability and retention to ensure that your backup data remains protected throughout its entire retention period. For example, for the daily schedule, the recommended immutability period would be 7 days, which is equal to the retention period I've specified for this schedule. For the weekly schedule, that would be 28 days. For the monthly schedule, it's 180 days, and 1,000 days for the yearly schedule. Keep in mind that even if you choose to run a job on demand without any schedules, you can still customize the retention and immutability periods. Every time you manually run an on-demand job, NAKIVO Backup and Replication will prompt you to specify those preferences. The 2 remaining scheduling types that you can use are periodic and after another job. With a periodic schedule, NAKIVO Backup and Replication gives you even more control over the frequency of your backup job. You can indicate the frequency in minutes, hours or days using the Run Every drop-down list available with this schedule type. And, as with other types, you can specify the active days, the start and end times, and the effective date. In this example, I want the job to run every minute, every day of the week, starting at midnight. Essentially, the job will be running 24/7. Such a high frequency of new recovery points would be particularly useful for achieving strict recovery point objectives for your critical workloads. Apart from that, you have the same options for customizing retention and immutability. The last scheduling type available uses the built-in job chaining feature to run your job after another existing job. To use this method, select after another job from the type drop-down list. Doing so will produce a new option called parent job. This will be the existing workflow that triggers the start of this job. Click Select a value to select your desired parent job. For example, if you want to create an additional copy of an existing backup, you can select the original backup job as the parent job. You can either have this job run immediately after the parent job, or after a specific delay. The delay duration can be defined in minutes or hours, as needed. Using the checkboxes below, you can specify whether you want this job to run only after successful runs of the parent job, only after failed runs, or only after stopped runs, or in any combination of these options that you prefer. The retention and immutability options work in the same way as with other schedule types. NAKIVO Backup and Replication allows you to keep up to 10,000 recovery points, and the immutability duration can reach up to 1,000 days. And that concludes our how-to video. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, click the like button, and subscribe to our channel to catch new uploads. You can also download a free trial version of NAKIVO Backup and Replication using the link in the description and try the solution in your own environment for 15 days.